In February 9, 1991, James Cleveland died in Culver City, California. He was 59. Some reports list the cause of death as congestive heart failure, stating that the singer had fallen into a coma shortly before his death. He is interred at Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. White was overweight for most of his adult life and suffered from related health problems. In October 1995, White was admitted to a hospital as a result of high blood pressure. In August 1999, White was forced to cancel a month's worth of tour dates owing to exhaustion, high blood pressure and a hectic schedule. In September 2002, White was hospitalized with kidney failure attributed to chronic diabetes mellitus and high blood pressure. While undergoing dialysis and awaiting a kidney transplant in May 2003, White suffered a severe stroke, which forced him to retire from public life. In July 4, 2003, White died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 58. His remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the ocean off the Californian coast. Tisdale died in May 15, 2009, at St. John Medical Center in Tulsa, where his wife had taken him when he had trouble breathing. She later confirmed that he died after his esophagus ruptured following radiation treatments for his cancer. Tisdale's agent described his death as a great shock and noted that Tisdale had been planning to go into the recording studio the following week for a project with jazz guitarist Norman Brown. In 2003, Charles had successful hip replacement surgery and was planning to go back on tour until he began suffering from other ailments. He died at his home in Beverly Hills, California of complications resulting from liver failure in June 10, 2004. At the age of 73. His funeral took place on June 18, 2004, at the First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Los Angeles, with numerous musical figures in attendance. B.B. King, Glenn Campbell, Stevie Wonder and Wynton Marsalis each played a tribute at the funeral. He was interred in the Inglewood Park Cemetery. King died at the age of 89 in Las Vegas, Nevada, in May 14, 2015. The remaining 8 shows of his 2014 tour were cancelled because of health problems caused by complications from high blood pressure and diabetes. King died in his sleep on May 14, 2015, at the age of 89, from vascular dementia caused by a series of small strokes, as a consequence of his type 2 diabetes. 2 of his daughters alleged that King was deliberately poisoned by 2 associates trying to induce diabetic shock. However, an autopsy showed no evidence of poisoning. Campbell died in Nashville, Tennessee, in August 8, 2017, at the age of 81. Vandross suffered from diabetes and hypertension. In April 16, 2003, Vandross suffered a severe stroke at his home in New York City and was in a coma for nearly 2 months. The stroke affected his ability to speak and sing, and required him to use a wheelchair. Vandross died in July 1, 2005, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, at the age of 54 of a heart attack. The factors of Super Famicom in Dragon Ball Z hyperdimension, due to hypertension of Majin Vegeta. He is a Son Goku and Vegeta will transform, simply called Super Vegeta, and Vandross died from heart failure in 2005. In November 10, 2006, Gerald Levert was found dead in his bed at his Cleveland, Ohio, home, when his cousin tried to wake him. Initial reports stated that Levert had died of an apparent heart attack. In June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before the first This Is It show was due to begin in London, with all concerts sold out, Jackson died from cardiac arrest. In August 13, 2018, Franklin was reported to be gravely ill at her home in Riverfront Towers, Detroit. She was under hospice care and surrounded by friends and family. Stevie Wonder, Jesse Jackson and ex-husband Quinn Turman visited her on her deathbed. Franklin died at her home on August 16, 2018, aged 76, without a will. The cause of death was a malignant pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor, which is distinct from the most common form of pancreatic cancer. Numerous celebrities in the entertainment industry and politicians paid tribute to Franklin, including former U.S. President Barack Obama, who said she helped define the American experience. Civil rights activist and Minister Al Sharpton called her a civil rights and humanitarian icon. Ingram died of brain cancer in January 29, 2019 at the age of 66. Leverett became ill while incarcerated in the Cuyahoga County Correctional Facility, prior to his transfer to a state prison, reporting high blood pressure and hallucinations. He died 6 days after being admitted to the jail, in March 30th. The Cuyahoga County coroner ruled in May that his death was caused by complications from sarcoidosis. The official coroner's report also noted contributing factors of high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and withdrawal from Xanax. He was 39 years old. In 2010, his widow was awarded $4 million as a result of a lawsuit filed against Cuyahoga County. Carter died at the age of 95 in Los Angeles at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center on July 12, 2003 from complications of bronchitis. Bryant died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on August 25, 2019, after suffering a heart attack at home. At the time of her death, she had 9 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. In February 8, 2017, after being hospitalized for exhaustion in Los Angeles, Jarreau canceled his remaining 2017 tour dates. In that date, the Montreux Jazz Academy, part of the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, announced that Jarreau would not return as a mentor to 10 young artists, as he had done in 2015. In February 12, 2017, Jarreau died of respiratory failure, at the age of 76, just 2 days after announcing his retirement, and 1 month before his 77th birthday. The first Tokusatsu TV series from the Japanese series Kairai, Sentai Zaya Ranger by Toei Company and TV Asahi, and American series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers by Ames Saban. Parker died in November 18, 1971, at age 39, in Blue Island, Illinois, during surgery for a brain tumor. His next album was released by United Artists Records in 1972, titled I Tell Stories Sad and True, I Sing the Blues and Play Harmonica Too. It is very funky. Reviewing it in Krista's Record Guide, Rock Albums of the 70s, 1981, Robert Christgau said, once a big man in the blues circuit, Parker was turning into the forgotten male streeter by the time he died, and this is a respectful farewell, never as penetrating as me or Bobby. Parker smooths his way over the arrangements with the calm of a man who was mellow, before the concept existed, at least in its present deracinated form. Highlight, the sad, true story that goes with funny how time slips away. Muddy Waters died in his sleep from heart failure, at his home in Westmont, Illinois, in April 30, 1983, from cancer-related complications. He was taken from his Westmont home, which he lived in for the last decade of his life, to Good Samaritan Hospital in Downers Grove, Illinois, where he was pronounced dead aged 70. His funeral was held in May 4, 1983. Throngs of blues musicians and fans attended his funeral at Ristvale Cemetery in Alsip, Illinois. He is buried next to his wife, Geneva. In Christmas Day 2006, Brown died at approximately 1:45 a.m. on Eastern, at age 73, from congestive heart failure, resulting from complications of pneumonia. Bobby was at his bedside and later reported that Brown stuttered, "I'm going away tonight," then took 3 long, quiet breaths and fell asleep before dying. Cotton died of pneumonia on March 16, 2017, at the age of 81, at a medical center in Austin, Texas. Armstrong died of a heart attack in his sleep on July 6, 1971, a month before his 70th birthday. A longtime resident of Englewood, New Jersey, Gillespie died of pancreatic cancer in January 6, 1993, at the age of 75 and was buried in Flushing Cemetery, Queens, New York City. Mike Longo delivered a eulogy at his funeral. Longo died in Manhattan on March 23, 2020, 3 days after his 83rd birthday, from complications of coronavirus disease 2019. The COVID-19 pandemic locked down and quarantine until the end of 2021. 6 weeks after filming finished, Gordon died at the age of 74 from a heart attack at his apartment in Regent Park, Queens on July 11, 2002. Freddie Cole died in June 27, 2020, aged 88. He was remembered by notable jazz artists in an article in Arts Atlanta. Fontana died October 9, 2003, in Las Vegas, Nevada, at age of 75 after suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Allman died at his home in Richmond Hill, Georgia, in May 27, 2017, due to complications from liver cancer at the age of 69. Brown died of congestive heart failure in 1999 in Oakland, California, and was interred at Inglewood Park Cemetery, in Inglewood, California. King died of a heart attack on December 21, 1992, in his Memphis home. His final concert had been in Los Angeles 2 days earlier. He was given a funeral procession with the Memphis Horns playing when the Saints Go Marching In and was buried in Paradise Gardens Cemetery in Edmondson, Arkansas, near his childhood home. Count Basie died of pancreatic cancer in Hollywood, Florida on April 26, 1984 at the age of 79. At 6:50 a.m. Pacific in January 23, 2005, Carson died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles of respiratory failure arising from emphysema. Bobby Berg died in September 12, 2007, of cancer. He was 73 years old. Chess died at his home in Tucson, Arizona, at the age of 95. At the age of 60, Buddy Miles died in February 26, 2008, at his home in Austin, Texas, with his family by his side. According to his website, he died of congestive heart disease. Miles was cremated, and there was no funeral. Melvin Edmonds died in May 18, 2019, at the age of 65. Jason left the group shortly thereafter. In December 12, 2011, Gerard Heard was found dead at his hanged himself after attempted suicide by hanging. After her death of Josephine Heard suffering from a congestive heart failure at the age of 69. After his death, Gerard Heard died at his home. He attempted suicide by hanging at the age of 31. At the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. Josephine Heard died in her sleep of congestive heart failure in Edison, New Jersey at JFK Medical Center on December 10, 2011. At the age of 69. Before his death, Gerard died at the hanging himself from attempted suicide in December 12. The Brooklyn police officers after her death of Josephine was diagnosed of heart failure and his brother hanged himself in New York City Police District by the politician's tribute of Gerard Heard after suicide at his home. James died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey in February 29, 2008 in leap year's day at the diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney failure and hemorrhoids. Mike Jacob died of the disease on December 14, 2008 at the age of 68, at Southern Hills Hospital and Medical Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. In 2010 entertaining tour were cancelled because of health problems caused complications of certifications in kidney disease and high blood pressure. Roy Vincent's health deteriorated in his 48 years after cause of appendicitis disease, liver disease, broken bones and hip replacement surgery. Vincent died at age 71 on April 29, 2010, at Boulder City Hospital in Nevada. On May 21, 2006, Walker died in a road accident when the van he was driving back to Nashville after a performance in Foley, Alabama, veered off Interstate 65 in Fort Deposit and overturned. His wife Betty, bassist Charles Lilly Jr., son of Everett Lilly of the Lilly Brothers, and guitarist Daniel Patton were also killed in the 12:40 a.m. Central crash. The Walkers, Lilly, and Patton died instantly. Walker's grandson, Joshua Brooks, survived with serious injuries. Walker was interred in Spring Hill Cemetery in Nashville. The second benefit, the Joe Dial Benefit and Appreciation Day, in June 9, 1985, 2 days before Joe died, was organized by the Boston Bluegrass Union, the now-defunct North River Bluegrass Association, Kathy and Ted Howland and Linda Fitzpatrick, and many volunteers. A full day and early evening of jams, workshops and concerts drew many familiar names and a large crowd. Among the performers were the duo of Tony Rice and Jimmy Gaudreau, making a surprise appearance, John Lincoln Wright, Bill Keith, Trevor Hollow, White Mountain Bluegrass, Joe's brother Paul Valiant, singing with Trevor Hollow, and more. Tony Rice died at his home in Reidsville, North Carolina on December 25, 2020. He died while making his coffee, according to a statement from longtime friend and collaborator Ricky Skaggs. 2 days later, in February 11, Houston was found unconscious in Suite 434 at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, submerged in the bathtub. Beverly Hills paramedics arrived at approximately 3:30 p.m., found Houston unresponsive, and performed CPR. Houston was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. Pacific. The cause of death was not immediately known. Local police said there were no obvious signs of criminal intent. In the weeks leading up to his death, Turner became reclusive. In December 10, 2007, he told his assistant Felina Raziel that he believed he was dying and would not live until Christmas. As he predicted, Turner died 2 days later, in December 12, at the age of 76, at his home in San Marcos, California. He was found dead by his former wife Ann Thomas. Raziel was also in the house and administered CPR. Turner was pronounced dead at 11:38 a.m. Johnson died in August 16, 1938, at the age of 27, near Greenwood, Mississippi, of unknown causes. His death was not reported publicly. He merely disappeared from the historical record, and it was not until almost 30 years later, when Gail Dean Wardlow, a Mississippi-based musicologist researching Johnson's life, found his death certificate, which listed only the date and location, with no official cause of death. No formal autopsy was done, as a dead black man found by the side of the road near a farm. A pro forma examination was done to file the death certificate, and no immediate cause of death was determined. It is likely he had congenital syphilis, and it was suspected later by medical professionals that may have been a contributing factor in his death. However, 30 years of local legend and oral tradition had, like the rest of his life story, built a legend which has filled in gaps in the scant historical record. Jordan died of a heart attack in February 4, 1975, in Los Angeles. He is buried at Mount Olive Cemetery in St. Louis, Missouri, the hometown of his wife Martha. In September 12, 2020, Wright died suddenly, at age 75, after suffering a heart attack at a hospital in Encino, California. She suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Pearl Bailey died at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia on August 17, 1990. Following an autopsy, Drive Emanuel Rubin, professor and chairman of the Department of Pathology at Jefferson Medical College, announced the cause of death as arteriosclerosis, with significant narrowing of the coronary artery. Bailey is buried at Rolling Green Memorial Park in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Wilson died at St. Joseph's Hospital in Yonkers, New York, in January 16, 1987, aged 79. He had suffered from Parkinson's disease for several years and suffered a severe stroke approximately 6 days earlier. Crawford died in January 29, 2009, at his home in Memphis, aged 74. The cause was complications of a stroke he had in 2000, his sister Delaware said. Milton died at the age of 70 on August 4, 2005 from complications following a stroke. He was posthumously honored with a marker in the Mississippi Blues Trail in Inverness. A resident of Voorhees Township, New Jersey, McGriff died there at age 72 on May 24, 2008, due to complications of multiple sclerosis. Thompson died from Alzheimer's disease in an assisted living facility on July 30, 2005. Professor Longmire died in his sleep of a heart attack, while the filming of the documentary was underway, and before the live concert, which was planned to be its climax, footage from his funeral was included in the documentary. Hill died at the age of 62 from congestive heart failure in Clarksdale on April 16, 1996. According to his obituary in the commercial appeal, he was survived by a daughter, Kathy Mitchell, 2 sons, Craig Turner and Raymond Hill, a sister, Marion Montgomery, 2 brothers, Aubrey Hill and Charles Hill Jr., and a aunt who cared for him, Evelyn Jarrett. His son, Wictina Turner, Craig Turner, died from an apparent suicide in 2018. Brenston died of a heart attack at the VA Hospital in Memphis on December 15, 1979. Hooker died in his sleep on June 21, 2001, in Los Altos, California in his home. He is interred at the Chapel of the Chimes in Oakland, California. He was survived by 8 children, 19 grandchildren, and numerous great-grandchildren. Hawkins died of esophageal cancer in Houston on January 30, 1982, at the age of 69. His obituary in the New York Times described him as one of the great country blues singers and perhaps the greatest single influence in rock guitar players. Jefferson died in Chicago at 10 a.m. on December 19, 1929, of what his death certificate said was probably acute myocarditis. For many years, rumors circulated that a jealous lover had poisoned his coffee, but a more likely explanation is that he died of a heart attack after becoming disoriented during a snowstorm. Some left square bracket who right square bracket have said that he died of a heart attack after being attacked by a dog in the middle of the night. In his 1983 book Talbert's Texas, Frank X. Talbert claims that he was killed while being robbed of a large royalty payment by a guide escorting him to Chicago Union Station to catch a train home to Texas. Paramount Records paid for the return of his body to Texas by train, accompanied by the pianist William Isle. Isle died in Chicago in 1963 in Chicago, at the age of 70. His death was not reported in any newspaper obituaries. Ramson died of congestive heart failure on August 23, 1995. He was buried. The autopsy pointers from a hospital at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 78. James died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 75, at JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey on December 26, 2008. His remains were cremated, and the ashes scattered from autopsy from the New York City. Bernhard Screen died of a heart attack in his sleep on November 21, 2013. English actor Ed Skrein's reviewing from was burial of Skrein's death of heart disease in London, England at the age of 87. Manthis died in his sleep from heart failure in February 29, 2004 in the leap year's day at the age of 94, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Robinson died in his sleep from heart attack at the age of 68. At San Francisco Chinese Hospital on September 13, 1999. Crystal died in November 18, 2003, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, age 64, due to complications of high blood disease, diabetes, prostate cancer and kidney failure. In July 6, 2013, Howie Baser died in his sleep from congestive heart failure at his home at San Francisco Chinese Hospital at the age of 93. His remains was cremated, and the ashes were scattered from the Golden Bay Central in San Francisco, California. Eddie Jones died in his sleep on November 9, 2016, at the age of 84, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. Due to complications of high blood pressure, diabetes, vascular dementia and heart failure, his remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the autopsy pointers of Manhattan, New York City. Gene Braxton died of congestive heart attack in his sleep on August 12, 2000, at the age of 98. Tony Braxton reports was cremated and his ashes scattered from services at the funeral. Jimmy Thunder died at the age of 72, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on July 25, 2010. From complications of kidney failure, strokes, cancer diseases and respiratory disease, suffered leukemia. Thunder was cremated from autopsy pointers. In July 7, 2001, Ricky Goldberg died in his sleep from heart failure at the age of 92, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Simmons died at JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey on September 10, 2012, from complications of epilepsy, seizure and chronic illness at the age of 53. Joe Ashley died at the age of 87 in Los Angeles at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center on October 25, 2004, from complications of leukemia and heart failure. Joel Evans died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on April 19, 1994 suffered epilepsy chronic illness. Elton Rhodes Jr. died in his sleep from respiratory failure at the JFK Medical Center on July 9, 2010 in Edison, New Jersey, was autopsy cremated of ashes pointers scattering from New York. Ben Howard died at the age of 84 at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut, from complications of pancreatitis, coccidioidomycosis, steroids and colectomy. Jean Solomon died at her home from congestive coccidioidomycosis at the age of 98, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, was autopsy cremated and her remains scattered of the funeral. The remaining 11 shows of his 2017 tour were cancelled because of health problems caused by complications from high blood pressure and diabetes. King Brown Jr. died in his sleep from heart failure at the age of 95 at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, where his wife had taken him when he had trouble breathing. His remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the Manhattan. Rogers died of colon cancer in Chicago in 1997. He was survived by his son, Jimmy Delane, a guitarist, record producer and recording engineer for Blue Heaven Studios and A.P.O. Records. Gallon died at his home in Tampa on September 27, 2018, at the age of 76. Alvin Benson died at the age of 81, in July 23, 2013, due to complications of high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney failure and liver cancer. He was given a funeral. Gordon Bay died at the age of 93, in November 1, 1994, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. Kingston died of pancreatic cancer in April 3, 2000, at the age of 82, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Black died at the age of 91 in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles, California, due to complications of withdrawal from Xanax, sarcoidosis, acute pancreatitis and bronchitis. A New York Times obituary described him as an extraordinary guitarist ennobling the ordinary. An obituary in the Huffington Post referred to him as a character singer titan. Black ashes was held in autopsy pointers and interred into Inglewood Park Cemetery, in Inglewood, California. Remington died September 9, 2001, age 86, from complications of periambulary cancer. In March 13, 2011, Livingston died in his sleep from heart failure, at his home in Malibu, California, from cancer-related complications at the age of 90. He was served given a funeral service was held. He remains scattered in pointers. Elton Gilbert died at the age of 80 of cirrhosis of the liver on June 21, 2002, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. He was given the funeral and autopsy pointers scattered from New York. Gabriel died at the age of 83, in Los Angeles at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center on June 6, 2010, due to complications of multiple organ failure, pneumonia, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and acute renal failure. He is interred in Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. The funeral service was burial from a meat shop from a family butcher's in Market of Los Angeles, California. Davidson died at the age of 80 on May 25, 1997, from complications of acute renal failure. After a 3-month battle with cancer, Collins died at his home in Las Vegas, Nevada, in November 24, 1993. He was 61 years old. Surviving him were his wife, Gwendolyn, and his father, Andy Thomas. Margie died in poverty in New York on July 14, 1973, aged 38. The official cause of her death is unknown, since no autopsy was performed in her. Most sources claim it was caused by a heroin overdose, but there are some rumors saying that she died in a car crash or from cancer. She is buried at New Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery in Register, Georgia. Turner died without a valid will. Less than a week after his death, his former wife Audrey Madison Turner filed a petition stating that he had penned a handwritten will naming her as a beneficiary. In 2009, a judge ruled that the handwritten will was invalid and that by law Turner's children were the direct heirs of his estate. Ken Hansen died in his sleep from heart attack on March 17, 1993, age 69. He died at his home in Burbank, California. Was autopsy pointers of Western counters. John Cleaver died at his home in Pensacola, Florida on March 17, 2009, at the age of 71, from complications of liver cirrhosis. Gilbert James died at his home in Columbus, Ohio, at the age of 68, due to complications of congestive heart attack. Baron Bailey died of aortic dissection at his home in Cincinnati, Ohio on September 16, 1999, at the age of 56. Was autopsy pointers in Cincinnati. Benny Anderson died in Davenport, Iowa, in August 16, 2010, at the age of 76 of colorectal cancer. Fred Ferguson died at his home in Charlotte, North Carolina on May 25, 2008, at the age of 86 due to a cerebral thrombosis with multiple organ failure. Vince Mulholland died of pulmonary embolism at his home in Gainesville, Georgia, in November 12, 2016, at age 85. He died of respiratory cancer, while making his autopsy at the funeral service was held. He was cremated pointers of a coast. Benson died of appendix cancer on April 22, 2002, at the age of 96 in Boston, Massachusetts at his home. Howard died of lymphoma at his home in West Newbury, Massachusetts at the age of 92 on July 26, 2011. Daniel Gibson died at his home in Silsbee, Texas of blood vomiting on February 29, 2012 in Leap Year's Day. Summer died in May 17, 2012 at her home in Naples, Florida, aged 63, from lung cancer. A non-smoker, Summer theorized that her cancer was caused by inhaling toxic fumes and dust from the September 11 attacks in New York City. She was in her apartment near Ground Zero, when the attacks occurred. However, some reports have instead attributed the cancer to summer smoking during her younger years, her continued exposure to secondhand smoking, while performing in clubs well, after she had quit, and a predisposition to this disease in the family. Summer was survived by her husband, Bruce Sudano, and her 3 daughters. Holloway died aged 64 on March 21, 2011, from heart failure. She was survived by her 4 children. Byrne died in November 25, 2006, in Irvine, California at the age of 88. His wife, Marilyn, said he had suffered a stroke and had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Wolf died at the age of 72 on December 28, 2009, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey of lethal arrhythmia. Mumford died of brain hemorrhage at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 98 on October 15, 2013. Vincent Klaus died at the age of 85 on July 21, 2001 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. For 5 years, the roads east that troublemakers had police chases that he died of attempted suicide by jumping in building. The New York City Times at the civil rights at September 11 attacks a series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks by the Wahhabi Islamist terrorist group Al-Qaeda against the United States in the morning of Tuesday, September 11, 2001. The propaganda sizzles aftermath the continued day that he died at the committed suicide by hanging after killing the snakes of bragging fist of reptile murdering from fighting cobra. Klaus was cremated, and there was no funeral. In April 11, 1983, Catherine Basie died of heart disease at the couple's home in Freeport, Grand Bahama Island. She was 67 years old. Klugman died of aortic dissection at this home in Sherrilsford, North Carolina on April 25, 2011, at the age of 75. In the morning of February 4, 2016, White died in his sleep at his Los Angeles home from the effects of Parkinson's disease. He was 74 years old. His brother Verdon said, "My brother, hero and best friend Morris White passed away peacefully last night in his sleep. While the world has lost another great musician and legend, our family asks that our privacy is respected, as we start what will be a very difficult and life-changing transition in our lives. Thank you for your prayers and wishes." Rogers died in March 3, 2013, at the age of 73, due to complications of diabetes. 9 days later, in March 12, 2013, in their website, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame paid tribute to Bobby with the article, "Remembering Bobby Rogers of the Miracles." Pete Moore died in his 79th birthday in Las Vegas, Nevada due to complications of diabetes. 3 years after leaving Robinson, Tarplin died in his Las Vegas home of undetermined causes on September 30, 2011. He was 70. Tarplin has 3 daughters named Elise, Lisa and Ebony. Dixon died of heart failure in January 29, 1992, in Burbank, California, and was buried in Broke Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois. After his death, his widow, Marie Dixon, took over the Blues Heaven Foundation and moved the headquarters to Chess Records. Dixon was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the category Early Influences, Pre-Rock, in 1994. In April 28, 2013, both Dixon and his grandson Alex Dixon were inducted into the Chicago Blues Hall of Fame. Red Holloway died in Morro Bay, California, aged 84 of a stroke and kidney failure in February 25, 2012, 1 month after Etta James, with whom he had worked extensively. He was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles. James died of a heart attack in Chicago in 1963, as he was about to tour Europe with that year's American Folk Blues Festival. He was buried in the Newport Baptist Church Cemetery, in Ebenezer, Mississippi. Phil Walden of Capricorn Records raised funds for a granite headstone for James' grave. The headstone, which reads King of the Slide Guitar, features a bronze relief of James playing guitar. It was revealed at a dedication ceremony sponsored by the Mount Zion Memorial Fund in 1992. Bradshaw died at the age of 56 at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut, from complications of diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney failure and strokes in February 29, 2012 in Leap Year's Day. Ambrose died at his home in Washington on March 17, 2015 at the age of 78, from complications of acute renal failure. In October 16, 1969, a few months after selling his namesake label to General Recorded Tape, Leonard Chess died of a heart attack. Winter was professionally active until the time of his death near Zurich, Switzerland, in July 16, 2014. He was found dead in his hotel room 2 days after his last performance, at the Cahors Blues Festival in France. The cause of Winter's death was not officially released. According to his guitarist friend and record producer Paul Nelson, Winter died of emphysema combined with pneumonia. Bo Diddley died in June 2, 2008, of heart failure at his home in Archer, Florida at the age of 79. Gary Mitchell, his grandson and one of more than 35 family members at the musician's home, when he died at 1:45 a.m. on Eastern, said his death was not unexpected. There was a gospel song that was sang at his bedside, and when it was done he said loud with a thumbs up, Mitchell told Reuters, when asked to describe the scene at the deathbed. The song was Walk Around Heaven and in his last words he stated that he was going to heaven. Spann died of liver cancer in Chicago in 1970. He was buried in Brook Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois. His grave was unmarked for almost 30 years, until Steve Salter, president of the Colored Blues Headstone Project, wrote a letter to Blues Review magazine, saying, "This piano great is lying in an unmarked grave. Let's do something about this deplorable situation." Blues enthusiasts from around the world sent donations to purchase a headstone. In June 6, 1999, the marker was unveiled in a private ceremony. The stone is inscribed, "Otis played the deepest blues we ever heard. He'll play forever in our hearts." In May 4, 1987, at age 44, Paul Butterfield died at his apartment in the North Hollywood district of Los Angeles. An autopsy by the county coroner concluded that he was the victim of an accidental drug overdose, with significant levels of morphine, heroin, codeine, the tranquilizer Librium and a trace of alcohol. In December 10, 1999, days after the end of a brief tour of the Midwest that included 2 shows in the Chicago area and a final gig at the Ark in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Danko died in his sleep at his home in Marbletown, New York. The cause of death was heart failure. He was 56. In March 21, 2011, Perkins died in his sleep of cardiac arrest at his home in Austin, Texas at the age of 97. Multiple memorial services were held in Perkins's honor in cities throughout the United States. The Ground Zero Blues Club in Clarksdale, Mississippi held a dedicated jam on March 31, 2011 for friends and fans of Perkins. A music-filled open casket funeral for Perkins was held in Austin, Texas on March 29, 2011, and was attended by several fellow musicians including Willie Big Eye Smith and Bob Margolin. Lead Belly died later that year in New York City and was buried in the Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery, in Mooringsport, Louisiana, 8 miles, 13 kilometers, west of Blanchard, in Caddo Parish. He is honored with a statue across from the Caddo Parish Courthouse, in Shreveport. Lockwood died at the age of 91 in Cleveland, having suffered a cerebral aneurysm and a stroke. He is buried at Riverside Cemetery, in Cleveland. Bannerman died of carbon monoxide poisoning at age 50 in Seaford, East Sussex. She had lost an ongoing court battle with another of Hendrix's girlfriends, Kathy Chinham, 2 days earlier. Johnson died of a heart attack after playing at a local party in 1956. He is buried in the Warm Springs Methodist Church Cemetery, outside Crystal Springs, Mississippi. In April 2000, Johnson family members gave permission for a headstone to be placed on Johnson's grave organized through the Mount Zion Memorial Fund, a Mississippi nonprofit corporation active in historic African American cemetery preservation since 1989. Underwriting for the memorial was obtained through the support of blues musician Bonnie Raitt. The large granite memorial engraved with Johnson's portrait and including several of Johnson's best-known songs, added at the family's request, was unveiled in October 2001 in Crystal Springs, but was not placed on Johnson's actual grave for another 10 years however, because of a dispute between Johnson's family, led by his niece, Gia Johnson Collins, the owners of farm property encircling the cemetery, and the Copiah County Board of Supervisors over a deteriorated road that led to the burial site. The dispute was resolved in October 2012 thanks in large part to research work done by University of Mississippi researcher T.E. Moore. It was finally announced that the headstone would be erected in October 26 of that year. The headstone had been on public display in the Crystal Springs Public Library since being unveiled in October 20, 2001. In the night of Saturday, February 2, 2013, the headstone fell and was damaged. It is a matter of dispute whether it fell because it was inadequately secured or because it was pushed over or deliberately smashed. In January 21, 2010, Gilbert Wales died of pulmonary tuberculosis at his home in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the age of 71. Wolfman died of aortic tuberculosis at his home in Perry, Oklahoma, in March 20, 2003, age 86, was autopsy pointers in Oklahoma. Thomas died at the age of 70 at his home in Staten Island, in June 23, 2012, from complications of tuberculosis. Troy Kelly died at his home in Long Island, New York. In August 14, 2009, at the age of 96 due to a demyelinating disease. Joey Santana died of bronchopneumonia at his home in Richmond, Virginia, in March 25, 2009, at age 78, 1 month before his 79th birthday. Freddie Harris died of acute respiratory failure at his home in Hackensack, New Jersey, in September 16, 2010, at the age of 69. Harrison died of chronic kidney disease and diabetic retinopathy at his home in Buffalo, New York at age 84 on July 7, 2015. At the age of 29, J. Cyrus was found hanged himself in his towel at his home in Cincinnati, Ohio on September 23, 2012. Initial reports of criminal contempt from death penalty that J. Cyrus died at committed suicide at his home from a crime scene in the politician's service contempt. Henderson died of thrombosis at his home in Washington, D.C., in April 7, 1995, age 68, 1 month before his 69th birthday. Macmillan died at age 108 from aortic thrombosis at his home in Melbourne, Australia on June 19, 2010. Reviewing from reporting in Australia, actor Glenn Macmillan reviewing from his death of father at age 108, on autopsy pointers in Melbourne, Australia. Wecker died in October 16, 2002, at age of 79, at Wyoming Medical Center in Casper, Wyoming, during surgery from debulking meningioma. The next album, the released producers and records in 1972, title, Stories I Said, I Sing Blues at the Harmonica 2, It's Funky Day, reviewing from Glenn Turman recording producers staff. Glenn Turman said, the life is the man, in the blues circuit. Wecker was mean to the male street in the 76th Street sessions, by that time to be the next day. He died. It is farewell, respectful to sadness at dying once. Leclerc's record producers was not determined after released by the present deracinated by him. The show was respectfully known as a recording producer from the musician legend, but today he died, the recording producer's death. Leclerc has passing away, after being dying for autopsy at once a funeral was held that fascinated for him. Leclerc, thank you for support from recording producer. Farewell. Joshua Leclerc, highlight. He said. The memory of the living she goes funky way. Emperor Kid died in his sleep from heart attack, at his home in Stone Mountain, Georgia. In April 14, 2007, age 84, from cancer-related complications, the next decade after his wife was autopsy pointers of Stone Mountain, she will next wife, Jennifer Kidd Belmont died at her home in Angel Grove, California, in May 23, 2013, at the age of 92 during complications of appendix cancer. Big Bubble died from cardiac arrest at the age of 83 on December 13, 2000. Denver died in June 16, 2004, at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida, age 78, from complications of colectomy, strokes, vascular dementia and coccidioidomycosis. An autopsy pointers was determined cannot showing that cause of death. King Brunson died at age 86 at Guadalupe County Hospital in Santa Rosa, New Mexico on April 29, 2009. Due to complications of high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney failure, heart disease and respiratory failure. Reviewing from Mexican actress Teresa Reyes' burial of Brunson's death. Grant died at the age of 89, at Jewish Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, from complications of Parkinson's disease. Rollins died of rheumatemesis at Bryan Health in Lincoln, Nebraska, at the age of 59 on June 26, 2014. Jack Miller died at the age of 86, at Genesis Medical Center Davenport, Iowa in May 25, 2020, from complications of coronavirus disease 2019, the Tantrum Ultimate Battle Demon Instinct Fighting Killer in Ultimate Battle for Ultra Instinct Goku. In September 21, 2011, Gary Boston was found dead at his hanging himself and committed suicide by hanging at his home. He was 25, at Denver Health Medical Center in Denver, the Denver City Police District, by the politicians to tribute of Boston. Porter died in February 25, 1994, at the age of 25, at the Detroit Medical Center in Detroit, Michigan, due to complications of high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney failure, vascular dementia and cancer diseases. Williams died of heart failure at the age of 67 on May 6, 2009. Brown died from heart failure at age 83 at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, in January 16, 2010. King died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 90 on April 14, 2000, from complications of diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, liver failure, pancreatic cancer and aortic disease. Guthrie died of uterine cancer in February 3, 1999, at the age of 48, and was interred at Fairmount Cemetery in Newark, New Jersey. Ed's son David Townsend, of the band Circus, died at age 50 in 2005. Ellington died in May 24, 1974, of complications from lung cancer and pneumonia, a few weeks after his 75th birthday. At his funeral, attended by over 12,000 people at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, Ella Fitzgerald summed up the occasion. It's a very sad day. A genius has passed. Parker died in March 12, 1955, in the suite of his friend and patron Baroness Panonica D. Golingswater at the Stanhope Hotel in New York City, while watching the Dorsey Brothers stage show on television. The official causes of death were lobar pneumonia and a bleeding ulcer, but Parker also had an advanced case of cirrhosis and had suffered a heart attack. The coroner who performed his autopsy mistakenly estimated Parker's 34-year-old body to be between 50 and 60 years of age. Hampton died from congestive heart failure at Mount Sinai Hospital, New York City, on August 31, 2002. He was interred at the Woodlawn Cemetery, Bronx, New York. His funeral was held on September 7, 2002, and featured a performance by Wynton Marsalis and David Ostwald's Culilo Jazz Band at Riverside Church in Manhattan. The procession began at the Cotton Club in Harlem. Bigard died on June 27, 1980, in Culver City, California. He was 74. DeFranco died in Panama City, Florida at the age of 91. Correa died of a rare form of cancer, which had only been recently diagnosed, at his home in the Tampa Bay area of Florida in February 9, 2021, at age 79. Donald died at the age of 76, at JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, in December 29, 2003. He died of aortic disease, was funeral held. Pablo died of bronchopneumonia on April 27, 2004, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, age 75. Morton died of a heart attack at NYU Medical Center in New York at the age of 67 on November 2, 2001. Madison died at his home in Belmont, Charlotte, North Carolina on December 12, 2015, at the age of 69 of a heart attack. Farland died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, at the age of 87 on October 25, 2006 due to a pulmonary tuberculosis. Loggins died at JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida. She was 93. She died of pancreatic cancer. Kenny Loggins reviewing her funeral held when Joanne Loggins' death at the cancer. Phoenix died at his home in Austin, Texas, at the age of 82 on August 23, 2011, from complications of bronchitis. In July 5, 2018, Joy Lemon was found hanged herself at the committed suicide at her home at the age of 36 at NYU Medical Center in New York. Lemon died in committed suicide by hanging in her towel at her home. The New York Police Department officers for a criminal content loss crime scene was organized. The Manhattan Crimes Justice by the politicians from tribute of Joy Lemon was including U.S. President Donald Trump by the criminals she was burial at her home. Brown died of a heart attack on April 19, 1993, at the age of 71 due to acute tuberculosis. King died from heart failure June 14, 1994. At his home at age 54 due to multiple organ failure. An autopsy pointers at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. His funeral was held and interred in the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. White died of congestive heart failure in his sleep at his home in Davenport, Iowa on April 4, 2008, at the age of 74. Chess died of a heart attack on July 19, 1995, at age 75 due to complications following a diabetes. Campbell died in his sleep from heart failure at his home in Los Angeles, California on April 25, 2002, at the age of 94. The funeral service was held in Inglewood Park Cemetery including Tisha Campbell, Tevin Campbell, Glenn Campbell, and his 9 great-grandchildren, and 12 grandchildren. James died of congestive heart failure at his home in Pensacola, Florida on March 23, 2009, age 54. Jackson died of acute renal failure on June 23, 2000. At age of 93, the funeral services including Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Jermaine Jackson was held after the funeral in Inglewood Park Cemetery. He died of acute renal disease at Los Angeles. In February 20, 2005, Elton Stewart died of pancreatic cancer at his home in Boston, Massachusetts at the age of 95. In August 18, 2009, Ben Wild was hospitalized for more than 3 months after condition of periambulary cancer. He was determined not to declare from hospice care surrounder with friends. American R&B singer Gene Wilder reviewing visiting on his exhaustion from dialysis undergoing kidney transplant, underwent to diabetes. In August 21, 2009, Wilde died in his sleep at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida, at the age of 98 due to a heart attack. Eugene Wilde was visit and burial including celebrities was burials of Wilde's death at the funeral. Stevie Wonder, Babyface, Al Jarreau, Mariah Carey, Tanya, Robin Thicke, Usher, Eddie Levitt, Toni Braxton, Kevin Edmonds, Johnny Gill, Keith Sweat, R. Kelly, Gina Wynn, Ruben Studdard, Sean Stockman, Monica, and more. Civil rights activist and minister Rod Sharpton has tribute of recording producer and musician-director Ben Wilde, and his activist amidst Baptist minister Jesse Jackson. Eugene Wilde's son's his death of father that he died in his sleep of a heart attack after autopsy pointers. Stevenson died at the age of 64 at JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey on August 23, 2007. He died of a heart attack in his sleep while we make this coffee. By a jealous lover poisoning say that he died of a heart attack in his sleep after became troublemaker fighting from ultimate battle instinct and rumbling instinct fighting from ultimate battle, who say before better than that he died of a heart attack in his sleep after, while attacking by the terrorism raw from rumble destroying planes, helicopters, and vehicles before fighting ultimate battle form. In 2008, the terrorist weapons and army soldiers against terrorist by the attack by the enemy forces against gunshot by bloodshed. Henderson died in his sleep from heart failure at his home in San Diego, California, in September 25, 2001, at the age of 68. Watson died in March 13, 2010, at the age of 79 at his home in Washington, D.C. He died of congestive heart attack in his sleep. The terrorist from President Barack Obama before attacking, since over by the jackal wrought forth rumble from ultimate battle become a terror. The police crimes and drug lord attacking from terrorist after killed by 5,073 and massacre from major crimes from a cop ambush by a target against man. The FBI officers of the Justice Disorient multiple crisis being attacked by a man who he killed escort by rape by the terms and genocide after becoming 100 miles of syndicated enforcers who said that he died of gunshot by bloodshed before suicide after criminals by the politicians from a combat self-defense. Terry McFarland died of a heart attack at the age of 61 on November 5, 2005. Benny Buddies died in his sleep from heart failure, at the age of 62, at his home in Charlotte, North Carolina, in March 17, 1994. Mark Lundgren died of aortic tuberculosis at his home in Los Gatos, California at the age of 78 on May 16, 2003. Lundgren was cremated, and the ashes were scattered from autopsy pointers. Nick Malloy died at the age of 61 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, in Los Angeles on November 4, 2004, from complications of pathogenesis. Santiago died of congestive heart failure, at his home in Mexico City, at the age of 83 on August 7, 2015, at National Institute of Neurology and Neurosurgery in Mexico City, on autopsy pointers in Mexico City. Marbles died of aortic dissection, at his home in Menanco, France on July 1, 2018, at the age of 87 at Georges Pompidou European Hospital in Paris, France. Was autopsy pointers in France. The newscasts was tribute of record producer and broadcast at TV5 Mon newscast after Alan Marble's death. Gibson died in January 14, 1925, at the age of 29, at his home in Texas, was found dead by his side after being kicked by the dungeon ball shattered, that staining from the bombs away from the Trump gaps in a Cavendish aisle going to be stand from childhood the claims would be industry fault by a dust, by a dirt, that shows from a shadow straight kingdom roads the purpose after punishment a better than that he died of a heart attack in his sleep, while making Caps Lizard or Scorpion, the guitars. Producers and pianist Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson died in his sleep on July 11, 1969. At the age of 57 of a heart failure, the massive, while trails from a perfect winning, while surprise independence in the USA, the Justice Court, while support by the Tampa in 1969. David died at age 79 on April 9, 2009. Craig David reviewing from R&B singer was found burial of Keith David pianist as passing away from acute aortic dissection. He was held the funeral from a blues musician collage from a Being Friends. Pullman died in November 21, 1997, at the age of 68 of a heart disease. He was cremated, and the ashes were scattered. Was no funeral. Battle died in Washington on September 13, 2001, age 87, due to complications following a severe stroke. Wellington died in February 29, 1976, at age 59 in leap year's day due to diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, colectomy and tuberculosis. McDonald died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, in May 21, 2006, age 48 of diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney failure and heart disease, which suffered aneurysm. Fallon died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on August 12, 2004, age 67, from complications of emphysema, aneurysm, colectomy, diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney failure and strokes. Jimmy Fallon burial reviewing from his show to the Los Angeles 2 days earlier. His funeral was held in the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. Scott died at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut at the age 52 on September 14, 2017 from complications of heart disease, colectomy, aneurysm, emphysema, diabetes, kidney disease, hypertension, strokes, coccidioidomycosis, steroids and aortic tuberculosis, was autopsy pointers in Middlesex, Connecticut. Champion died of a heart attack in his sleep at age 86 on June 21, 2003, 1 month before his 87th birthday. Coltrane died of liver cancer at the age of 40 on July 17, 1967, at Huntington Hospital in Long Island. His funeral was held 4 days later at St. Peter's Lutheran Church in New York City. The service was started by the Albert Ayler Quartet and finished by the Ornette Coleman Quartet. Coltrane is buried at Pinelawton Cemetery in Farmingdale, New York. Mingus died, aged 56, in Cuernavaca, Mexico, where he had traveled for treatment and convalescence. His ashes were scattered in the Ganges River. Roach died of complications related to Alzheimer's and dementia in Manhattan in the early morning of August 16, 2007. He was survived by 5 children, sons Daryl and Raul, and daughters Maxine, Hale, and Dara. More than 1,900 people attended his funeral at Riverside Church on August 24, 2007. He was interred at the Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx. Jets died of liver cancer on June 6, 1991. His ashes were poured from his saxophone case 6 miles off the coast of Marina del Rey, California. In 1998, the Stan Getz Media Center and Library at Berklee College of Music was dedicated through a donation from the Herb Alpert Foundation. Goodman died June 13, 1986, from a heart attack, while taking a nap at his apartment in Manhattan House. Jones died of pneumonia in New York City at the age of 73. Brubeck died of heart failure on December 5, 2012, in Norwalk, Connecticut, 1 day before his 92nd birthday. He was on his way to a cardiology appointment, accompanied by his son Darius. A birthday party concert had been planned for him with family and famous guests. A memorial tribute was held in May 2013. Webb died from pot disease on June 16, 1939, in Baltimore. Reportedly his last words were, "I'm sorry, I've got to go." Webb was buried in Baltimore County, in Arbutus Memorial Park, in Arbutus, Maryland. Brown died in his sleep July 2, 2002, after having played golf, before a show in Indianapolis. Hansen died of a heart attack on December 23, 2003 at the age of 98. Smith died at the age of 83 on July 3, 2004, at the medical center in Austin, Texas. The autopsy pointers, when he died of aortic cancer, he was cremated, and was no funeral. Albert Pilgrim died at the age of 93 of tuberculosis on December 26, 1998. The record producer has passing away. He died when the dialysis after exhaustion, when before his death and autopsy pointers of respiratory tuberculosis. In February 2003, Dudley died at his home in New York City at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. Dudley Boys was burial of Rude Dudley for a cremated and no funeral. Como died in his sleep on May 12, 2001, at his home in Jupiter Inlet Colony, Florida, 6 days before his 89th birthday. He was reported to have suffered from symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Como's older son, Ronnie, and his daughter, Terry, could not agree on their interpretations of Como's 1999 living will, and it became a matter for the courts in the year before his death. His funeral mass took place at St. Edward's Catholic Church in Palm Beach, Florida. Como and his wife, Rizal, are buried at Riverside Memorial Park, Tequesta, Palm Beach County, Florida. Davis died of complications from throat cancer 2 months later at his home in Beverly Hills, California, in May 16, 1990, at age 64. He was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. In May 18, 1990, 2 days after his death, the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip were darkened for 10 minutes as a tribute. Day died in May 13, 2019, at the age of 97, after having contracted pneumonia. Her death was announced by her charity, the Doris Day Animal Foundation. Per Day's requests, the foundation announced that there would be no funeral services, grave marker, or other public memorials. She was cremated. Cole died in a nursing home in Boca Raton, Florida on July 10, 2012, at the age of 89, shortly after being diagnosed with cancer. Guy struggled with a heroin addiction throughout the majority of his brief career. In 1945?46, Guy was involved with Billie Holiday both professionally and intimately. When Guy and Holiday were both busted for drug possession, the two cut ties thereafter. Afterwards, Guy moved to his birthplace in Birmingham, Alabama before falling into relative obscurity among the music industry. Still, he performed at the Woodland Club with local musician Frank Adams, and advised others about the dangers of his addiction. Guy died in 1962. Horn died of congestive heart failure on May 9, 2010. Her funeral took place at St. Ignatius Loyola Church in Park Avenue in New York, where she had been a member. Thousands gathered, and attendees included Leontine Price, Diane Warwick, Liza Minnelli, Jessica Norman, Chita Rivera, Cicely Tyson, Diane Carroll, Leslie Uggams, Lauren Bacall, Robert Osborne, Audra McDonald, and Vanessa Williams. Her remains were cremated. Miracle died October 30, 1986, at the Jewish nursing home in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Henry died at the age of 78 of acute tuberculosis on July 23, 1999, at his home in Manhattan, New York. Taylor died at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida at the age of 73 on May 13, 2009, from complications of renal disease, secondary to diabetes. Coleman died at the age of 85, in Atlantis, Florida at the JFK Medical Center on December 13, 2013 from suffered cardiac surgery and before his death and autopsy pointers. Layfield died at his home in San Diego, California at the age of 78 suffered following from renal artery. Muffins died at NYU Medical Center from complications of acute renal artery on July 21, 2006. Hamilton died at age 69 at Middlesex Hospital on March 17, 2013, at his home in Middlesex, Connecticut. An autopsy pointer's cause determined not health problems. Martin died at age 70 of renal failure on June 5, 2010, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, in Los Angeles. His funeral was held in the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. Keith Martin's reviewing funeral held visiting after his death of Joel Martin that suffered renal artery. In January 31, 2001, Tyson died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, in Los Angeles at the age of 83 due to acute renal failure. Lindenberg died at age 65 on April 12, 1986, due to complications of renal tuberculosis. Sheridan died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey on July 31, 2010, at the age of 94. Riley died at his home in Washington, D.C., in May 14, 2009, age 73. No funeral service was held. He was cremated, and the ashes scattered from autopsy pointers in Washington. White died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, at the age of 81 in February 29, 2016 in leap year's day due to crush of the diaphragm. Scartzer died at the age of 57 on December 10, 2009, at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut. Brown died of multiple organ failure at his home in Davenport, Iowa at the age 68 on May 31, 2015. King died of acute renal failure at his home in Charlotte, North Carolina at the age of 52 on April 12, 1999. Phillips died at the age of 92 on August 30, 2006, at El Camino Hospital in Los Gatos, California. In November 5, 2018, Sanchez died at his home in General Hospital of Mexico, at the age of 77 due to tuberculosis. On autopsy pointers in Mexico City, he was interred in Funerales La Mexicana Funerals the Mexican. Domino died in October 24, 2017, at his home in Harvey, Louisiana, at the age of 89, from natural causes, according to the coroner's office. Womack died at his home in Tarzana, California at the age of 70 on June 27, 2014. He was cremated, and his ashes were interred at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery in Glendale, California, in the Great Mausoleum, Memorial Terrace, Columbarium. Joshua Wales died in his sleep from heart failure, at his home in Westmont, Illinois, in February 28, 1982, from cancer-related complications. He was taken from his Westmont home, which he lived in for the last decade of his life, to Good Samaritan Hospital in Downers Grove, Illinois, where he was pronounced dead aged 74. His funeral was held in March 10, 1982. Throngs of blues musicians and fans attended his funeral at Ristvale Cemetery in Alsip, Illinois. On autopsy pointers after the meat shop in 1980s food products and his Thanksgiving from alternative Eucharistic prayers in 1982. Jim Van Peebles died of aortic disease at his home in Los Angeles, California, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 97 in January 31, 2010. He was interred in the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. McCallum died at the age of 84 at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, in July 14, 2016. He died of pancreatic cancer. McCallum was cremated and his ashes were scattered with no funeral services in Manhattan. Brown died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 78 on August 12, 2010. From complications of aortic dissection. King died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 80, in October 23, 2010. From complications of thoracic aortic aneurysm. White died of congestive heart failure at his home in Cincinnati, Ohio on January 18, 2017, at the age of 83, following autopsy pointers of Cincinnati. Thompson died of a heart attack in his sleep from cancer complications at age 87 on September 17, 2015, at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut. His remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the no funeral services in Middlesex, Connecticut. In December 13, 2020, Rodeo Sodi was found dead at the attempted suicide by self-harm, at age 33, at his home in Mexico City, at Santa Maria Chapala de Guadalajara, Jalisco. Was burial after his death from attempted suicide by self-harm. Was reviewing Mexican actress Camila Sodi. Was burial brother after his funeral in Mexico City. In August 28, 2016, Gabriel died in Santa Monica, California, reportedly from a heart attack. Gabriel's body was cremated. His ashes were returned to a house he owned in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, after receiving tributes from the city and Palacio de Bellas Artes in Mexico City. An autopsy was not performed to determine the cause of death. Williams died sometime between January 16 and March 16, 1683, and was buried in his own property. 50 years later, his house collapsed into the cellar and the location of his grave was forgotten. Richmond died in Portland, Oregon of lung cancer on November 20, 2005, mourned and celebrated by the folk community. In March 25, 2017, Roy Geisler died at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida, from complications of diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, coccidioidomycosis, respiratory failure, kidney disease, colectomy, pancreatic cancer, aortic tuberculosis and renal disease, which suffered a severe cough. He died of heart attack in his sleep. He was 99 years old, where his wife had taken him, when he had trouble breathing. An autopsy pointers from the meat shop from food products merchandise supermarket and shopping mall from a family butcher's in Morris Family Farm of organic meats. His remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the Atlantis, Florida. Bells died of cirrhosis of the liver at his home in Atlantis, Florida on July 1, 2011, at JFK Medical Center at the age of 85. He was cremated and no funeral. Trish Croft died at her home in Indianapolis of malignant tumor on July 23, 1999. She was 78 years old. Alex Beck died at his apartment in San Jose, California early in the 25th of October 2018 at the age of 37, after apparently committing suicide by hanging. Police reported that no suicide note was found, but there were some illegible messages scribbled possibly by him. Initial reports state that he died of committed suicide. Edison died in his sleep from a heart attack at Baptist Hospital in Pensacola, Florida at the age of 89. White died of a heart attack on July 14, 2017, at the age of 88 at Palm Bay Community Hospital in Palm Bay, Florida. Brown died at Lake City Medical Center in Lake City, Florida on July 24, 2004. From complications of renal disease, secondary to diabetes. King died at Northeast Georgia Medical Center in Gainesville, Georgia at the age of 93 from bronchopneumonia on September 13, 2010. James died at Samaritan Albany General Hospital in Albany, Oregon at the age 82 from complications of aortic dissection on June 6, 2018. At the age of 79 on July 12, 2013. DeVore died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles from aortic dissection. Golding died at the age of 99 on November 13, 2011 at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey from tuberculosis. Ellie Goulding's Sons was cremated and her ashes and autopsy pointers. Benson died in Memphis, Tennessee, in November 2007 at the age of 75. Roy Cuff died at the Baptist Hospital in Nashville on November 23, 1992 of congestive heart failure at the age of 89. He is buried in the Hillcrest section, Grave 6, Lot 9, of Spring Hill Cemetery in Gallatin Road in Nashville. Davis died in November 5, 2000. He had suffered a fall in his home some 10 months earlier and may have had a stroke in his last days. He is interred alongside his first wife at the Jimmy Davis Tabernacle Cemetery in his native Beach Springs community near Quitman. Jim Davis was cremated. Tucker died of tuberculosis at age of 66 on July 3, 2006. McNeil died of attempted suicide by self-harm at age of 30 at JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida on June 6, 2008. Brooke died at his home in Marieville, Quebec, Canada. Wilson died in January 21, 1984, at age 49 from complications of pneumonia. He was initially buried in an unmarked grave at West Lawn Cemetery near Detroit. In 1987, fans raised money in a fundraiser spearheaded by an Orlando disc jockey Jack Gibson to purchase a mausoleum. In June 9, 1987, his 53rd birthday, a ceremony was held and Wilson was interred in the mausoleum at West Lawn Cemetery in Wayne, Michigan. His mother Eliza Wilson, who died in 1975, was also placed in the mausoleum. Chapman died in the 4th of October 1989 in Maidstone Hospital. Jones died from complications of dementia in 21 January 2020, 11 days short of his 78th birthday, at his home in Highgate. His family and close friends remembered him with a humanist funeral ceremony. West died in July 18, 2017, aged 81, from an aortic aneurysm, at the Baptist Hospital in his native Memphis. In April 4, 2013, Ebert died at age 70 at a hospital in Chicago, shortly before he was set to return to his home and enter hospice care. Swayze died, with family at his side, in September 14, 2009, at the age of 57. Swayze's death occurred 20 months after his cancer diagnosis. Swayze's publicist confirmed to CNN that he had died of pancreatic cancer. His body was cremated, and his ashes were scattered over his New Mexico ranch. Phillips died of respiratory failure at St. Francis Hospital in Memphis, in July 30, 2003, only one day before the original Sun Studio was designated a National Historic Landmark, and just over a month before the death of former Sun Records recording star Johnny Cash, in September 12, 2003. He was 80. Phillips is interred in the Memorial Park Cemetery in Memphis. Steinman died from kidney failure at a hospital in Danbury, Connecticut, in April 19, 2021, at age 73. Brown died in May 16, 2012, at Baltimore's Johns Hopkins Hospital of multiple organ failure, including heart failure, at the age of 75. Several weeks prior to his death, he had postponed and canceled shows due to hospitalization for pneumonia. His interment was at Trinity Memorial Gardens in Waldorf, Maryland. King died in January 7, 2019, at the age of 75, of complications from a blood infection. David White died in Las Vegas, Nevada on March 16, 2019, at the age of 79. His daughter Wendy attributed the cause of his death as lung and throat cancer. In October 23, 2007, Champion was found hanged in New York City. He was 29. The cause of death, he was probability unknown. He was pronounced dead at approximately 4:30 p.m. on Eastern, at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Instead he died without a valid will. Hooker died in his sleep from heart attack at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida, at the age of 92. The remaining shows were cancelled because of health problems caused by complications from high blood pressure and diabetes. In July 14, 2001, King died in his sleep from heart attack at Bedford Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Bedford, Middlesex County, Massachusetts at the age of 96. King died at the Hackensack University Medical Center on April 30, 2015 at the age of 76. His agent said he had suffered from coronary problems at the time of his death. King was survived by his wife of 51 years, Betty, 3 children and 6 grandchildren. King died from a heart attack shortly before his 66th birthday, near his home in the rural community of Old Memphis, Alabama, just a few miles from his birthplace. In July 12, 2019, Velasquez died of pancreatic cancer at his home in Santa Cruz, Argentina, at the age of 41, admitted from hospital in H. Regional Arrogalagos in Arrogalagos, Argentina. He suffered a severe stroke and reporting from high blood pressure, diabetes and pancreatic disease, including celebrity star William Burns, Velasquez, Joel Pimentel, Oriana Sabatini, Maria Becerra, Algoza, Richard Camacho, Coscu, Nikki Nicole, Lutkai, Maxi Espindola, Becky G, Kazu, Eric Brian Colon, Zabdil D. Jesus, Matty Matisha, Abraham Mateo and Christopher Velez, an autopsy pointers that he died of pancreatic disease, but the contributing factors of cause of his death, he was cremated and there is no funeral. In 1978, Pointer married Motown Records producer Jeffrey Bowen. In July 2014, after 10 years of separation, Pointer filed for divorce, which was finalized in 2016. Pointer died from cardiac arrest on June 8, 2020 in Los Angeles, California, aged 69. She had been suffering from cirrhosis for many years. Ricky Bubble died of acute aortic dissection at Minneapolis Veterans Affairs Healthcare System in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the age of 89 on June 7, 2004. George Manron died in his sleep from heart disease in January 12, 2005 at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut. He was 54, an autopsy pointers, when he died of a heart attack in his sleep. Justin Mandler died from heart failure in his sleep at the age of 93 in Boulder City Hospital in Nevada, following an autopsy. The pointers from tried man from a hospital. In July 27, 2008, Scott Tupper was found hanged at his home in Austin, Texas. He was 29 years old. The cause of death, he died without a valid will and autopsy pointers and admitted CPR. He was pronounced dead at approximately 9:49 a.m. Pacific. In 2015, entertaining tour in Taipei with Gravure Idol fans in Japan and were cancelled because of health problems caused by complications from high blood pressure and diabetes. In April 25, 2016, Huo Lin Xun died of a heart attack in his sleep at his home in Sanmen District, Kaohsiung, Taiwan. At Kaohsiung Medical University Chung Ho Memorial Hospital in Sanmen District, Kaohsiung, Taiwan. At the age of 81, the cause of death, he died in an autopsy pointer in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. He took place the following entertaining tour which replaced from Taiwanese illustrator Sing Luo Wei. Brown died at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, at the age of 76 on December 1, 2010, from complications of coccidioidomycosis, colectomy, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and withdrawal from Xanax. King died of a heart attack in his sleep at JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida, aged 81, in June 25, 2011. In March 17, 1994, White died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 68 due to a cerebral edema. No funeral service was held. His remains were cremated, and the ashes were scattered in the ocean off the autopsy pointers in a Californian coast. In March 17, 1993, James died of pancreatic cancer at Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, New York at age 65. In March 17, 1998, Barrett died in his sleep from heart attack at his home in Norwich, England, at the age of 84. McCoy died of heart disease in Chicago in 1950, at the age of 44, only a few months before Charlie died. They are both buried in Ristvale Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois. Nelson died of renal failure in May 1974. Taylor died in Christmas Day in 1985 in Chicago, at the age of 62, and was interred in Ristvale Cemetery in Alsip, Illinois. He was posthumously inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame in 1987. Smith died in Chicago following a stroke on September 16, 2011. Taylor died of lung cancer in 1975. He was buried at Ristvale Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois. Luther Tucker died of a heart attack in June 1993, in Greenbury, California, at the age of 57. His body was returned to Chicago, where he is buried in Ristvale Cemetery in an unmarked plot. He recorded 2 albums, one incomplete, both released posthumously. Wellington died of a cerebral aneurysm in Maywood, Illinois, in January 1993, at the age of 33. She was interred at the Ristvale Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois. Auden died of bronchopneumonia in 1977, at the age of 74, and was interred in Ristvale Cemetery, in Alsip, Illinois, near Chicago. In September 2, 1974, Barksdale died from kidney failure, as a result of a June 1970 attack in which there was an attempt in his life by members of the Black Keystone Rangers armed with M14 rifles outside of a bar Barksdale was frequenting with Larry Hoover on 848 West 69th Street. The assassination attempt ended a truce that was in place at the time. He was survived by his 3 children, David, Melinda and Ronnie Barksdale, one of whom was gunned down by a member of the Gangster Disciples Street Gang in 1996, and wife Yvonne Barksdale, until she was murdered 3 years later in June 1977. Horton died of heart failure in Chicago in 1981, at the age of 60. Hooker died in April 21, 1970, at age 40, of complications due to tuberculosis. He is interred in Ristvale Cemetery, in the Chicago suburb of Alsip. Clifton died at age 63 on August 31, 1990, in Chicago. He was interred in the Ristvale Cemetery in the Chicago suburb of Alsip. Clayton died of tuberculosis in January 7, 1947, in Chicago, shortly after his second recording session. Big Bill Broomsey and Tampa Red attended his funeral. Buffalo Knight died of acute pancreatitis and secondary diabetes at his home in Central State Hospital in Jefferson, Louisville on July 14, 2009. He was 79 years old. Douglas died at his home in Paris, France, in June 7, 2014, of complications after a fall. He was married 4 times, and had 2 daughters and a stepson. Baylock died in Atlantis on July 6, 2018, at the JFK Medical Center in Atlantis, Florida. He was 27 of committed suicide by hanging himself. The propaganda signals from the police officers in a criminals of drug overdose due to drinking beer or alcohol. He died at committed suicide by hanging. The next wife of Nathalie Baylock had crying from Lance Baylock had dying after his death of committed suicide. He was cremated and there's no funeral. Vic Evans died of a brain hemorrhage at Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut at age 45 on November 14, 2010. Corbin died at age 97 at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey, in January 14, 2019. Reviewing from Baron Corbin Sons at his burial as once from complications of congestive heart attack in his sleep after dialysis after severe heart failure of his son. In August 24, 2014, Brown died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 79 due to periambulary cancer. At the age of 80, King died of Parkinson's disease in the several days later on December 3, 2001 at his funeral interred in the Inglewood Park Cemetery in Inglewood, California. White died of a heart attack in his sleep on August 11, 2009 at St. John Medical Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the age of 73. James died from heart failure at age 83 on September 5, 2010, at Wyoming Medical Center in Casper, Wyoming. He was cremated and there was no funeral. Thompson died at his home in Boulder City, Nevada, in October 25, 2016, at Southern Hills Hospital and Medical Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the age of 55 due to tuberculosis. Campbell died from aortic stenosis at Boulder City Hospital on April 11, 2012 at the age of 87 at his home in Boulder City, Nevada. In July 2007, Billy Ray Cyrus' son was diagnosed of hospitalized from exhaustion from diabetes. He went to distress and cancer disease from coronary tuberculosis, underwent to dialysis and kidney transplant from 5 weeks because of hypertension and diabetes. He had a severe cough from a result. James Cyrus died of congestive heart failure in his sleep on August 17, 2007, at the age of 105, at Baptist Hospital in Pensacola, Florida. Billy Ray Cyrus' son's was funeral of father's death was burial of James Cyrus and her sister Millie Cyrus was burial after autopsy pointers. Millie Cyrus was debuted after her career in 2007. She was 15 years old. Bloomfield died in San Francisco in February 15, 1981. He was found seated behind the wheel of his car, with all 4 doors locked. According to police, an empty Valium bottle was found in the car seat, but no suicide note was found. The medical examiner who performed the autopsy ruled the death accidental, though he was unable to determine a cause of death, because no drugs were found in Bloomfield's system, and there were no signs of foul play. Bloomfield's last album, Cruisin' for a Bruisin', was released the day his death was announced. His remains are interred in a crypt at Hillside Memorial Park Cemetery, in Culver City, near Los Angeles. Reed died of respiratory failure in 1976, in Oakland, California, 8 days short of his 51st birthday. He is interred in the Lincoln Cemetery, in Worth, Illinois. Reed was posthumously inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame in 1980, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991. Randy Joe Hobbs was found dead of heart failure, aged 45, in a hotel room in Dayton, Ohio, in 1993 and is buried in his hometown of Union City, Indiana. In Sunday evening, October 4, 1970, Joplin was found dead in the floor of her hotel room by her road manager and close friend John Byrne Cook. In the early hours of the 25th of December 2016, Michael died in bed at his home in Gorion, Thames, aged 53. He was found by his partner, Fatty Faz. In March 2017, a senior coroner in Oxfordshire attributed Michael's death to dilated cardiomyopathy with myocarditis and a fatty liver. Kunko died in his sleep from heart attack at his home in Chicago, Illinois, in August 13, 2014, from cancer-related complications. He was 87 years old. He was pronounced dead at approximately 8:50 a.m. Central. Jesse Jackson said, "My hero, Kunko was tributed from Delta before passing away, and today he died. My farewell from a Hearts of Future Promise, our contributing factors in cause of death. He died last day in his sleep, while from heart attack was death poison from autopsy pointers at once. Thank you from prayers, well wishes." Van Vliet died at a hospital in Arcata, California, in Friday, December 17, 2010, about a month before his 70th birthday. The cause was named as complications from multiple sclerosis. Tom Waits and Kathleen Brennan commented in his death, praising him, wondrous, secret, and profound. He was a diviner of the highest order. Heavy drinking and emotional problems took their toll. Crosby died in December 11, 1989, from a self-inflicted rifle shot to the head. He was 51. A family spokeswoman said Crosby shot himself to death in a Las Virgenes apartment after learning that the inheritance he relied on to support his family was gone. His distraught brother Dennis never recovered from Lindsey Crosby's death and committed suicide by shotgun in May 1991. Deeply distraught by his brother Lindsey's suicide and his own recent divorce, Crosby died from a self-inflicted gunshot on May 4, 1991, in Novato, California, aged 56. In January 14, 2006, Crosby's former wife, Pat Sheehan, died at the age of 74. Their son Dennis Michael Crosby Jr. died in January 15, 2010, and Patrick Anthony Crosby, born New Year's Eve 1960, died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, in September 19, 2011, after a lengthy illness. Gary Crosby died of lung cancer in Burbank, California in 1995, and is interred at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills Cemetery. Crosby's first marriage was to Marie Elizabeth Grounitz. They had a daughter, Elizabeth N. He married socialite June Kuhn at his home in Spokane on September 22, 1938. They had 5 children, Christopher, George, Stephen, Kathleen and Junie. Crosby died in La Jolla, California, in March 9, 1993, at 79, from complications of cancer. Dixie Lee died from ovarian cancer on November 1, 1952, 3 days before her 43rd birthday. She was interred in the Crosby-plotted Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California, after a Requiem High Mass at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills on November 3. Gaiman died of tuberculosis on September 4, 2005. At the age of 47 at the medical center in Austin, Texas. Rumors circles when eating fried chicken and mashed potato with that saying that he died in his sleep from poisoning. Austin died at the age of 79 on December 24, 1994, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles in Christmas Day. Bonnie Chandler died at her home in attempted suicide by Russian roulette at the age 47. She died at approximately at 11:24 a.m. Central, at the JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey on July 4, 2009. The cause of her death, she was pronounced dead after attempted suicide by Russian roulette. Sandra Wecker died in the rape victim from killer on October 4, 2007. At the Middlesex Hospital in Middlesex, Connecticut. She was 29. Wecker was cremated and there is no funeral. Kit died of colon cancer in Christmas Day 2008, 3 weeks short of her 82nd birthday at her home in Weston, Connecticut. Her daughter, Kit McDonald, described her last days with her mother. I was with her when she died. She left this world literally screaming at the top of her lungs. I was with her constantly. She lived not even 3 miles from my house. We were together practically every day. She was home for the last few weeks, when the doctor told us there was nothing they could do anymore. Up until the last 2 days, she was still moving around. The doctor told us she will leave very quickly and her body will just start to shut down. But when she left the world with a bang. She left it, how she lived it. She screamed her way out of here, literally. I truly believe her survival instincts were so part of her DNA that she was not going to go quietly or willingly. It was just the 2 of us hanging out left square bracket during the last days right square bracket. She was very funny. We didn't have to left square bracket talk, right square bracket, because I always knew how she felt about me. I was the love of her life, so the last part of her life we didn't have to have these heart-to-heart talks. She started to see people that weren't there. She thought I could see them too, But, of course, I couldn't. I would make fun of her like, I'm going to go in the other room and you stay here and talk to your friends. In the 13th of December 2016, Fike collapsed while playing ice hockey with his son Carter at Pickwick Gardens in Burbank, California. The manager of the rink said he was talking and even joked to his son to take a photo, as he was being wheeled out on a stretcher. Fike died later that day of type A aortic dissection at the Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank, at the age of 69. In the 19th of December 2016, the cast of Growing Pains, including Leonardo DiCaprio, reunited at Fike's funeral. A eulogy was given by his friend Bob Saget, and his son, Robin, offered a humorous remembrance. He was buried at Santa Barbara Cemetery in Santa Barbara, California. This film was presented by Tahoe Company Limited,